So welcome back to our Fast.Forward.Pride podcast with myself, Alessandro and Jason. Last weekend was Halloween.
Yes.
And so we thought we're going to reflect on the kind of connection, potentially the influence of queer culture and Halloween
Yes.
and queer culture.
And I'm
you've
horny.
You've got some horns. Yeah, we've seen a lot of horny boys over the weekend, horny queer people. In fact, fun fact, if you don't know where the word horny comes from, go and find out. But speaking of horns in your head and all sorts of other weird and wonderful creatures, it was Halloween last weekend, and we were just chatting, and we kind of started to realize there's a lot more of a connection between queer culture and queerness and Halloween.
Yes.
You shared something about Disney. I wanted to start from there because you made me realize something.
It's really weird, but the majority of Disney characters that have been created around queerness have been negative. So we have characters like Ursula, we have characters like Scar, and Disney, Jafar.
Yeah.
You know, these were queer-coded characters in the Disney world, and we just accepted that this is who we should be. We should be angry, we should be evil, we should be this, that, and the other. And when I think to my childhood of what Halloween meant to me, it was not about finding my queerness as a negative. It was finding queerness as being a positive, as being powerful.
Yes.
You know, these characters were not just negative, they were powerful.
Yes. Yeah.
And we need to think more about how do we imbue queerness and power in these spaces.
And actually, Halloween, yes, in terms of like the evil character, you know, and the connection with queerness, but Halloween as a holiday is seen by many queer people as an opportunity to actually be themselves in a space that feels safe, because everyone is dressing up as everyone. So we know that many drag queens they start their careers, you know, kind of coming out as a drag queen during Halloween. I know you called it the Gay Xmas, the queer Christmas. From a continental Europe, for me, like Gay Xmas is Eurovision. But when that comes, we'll do another episode on Eurovision. But it is, you're right, like Halloween is such a queer holiday because it gives us that opportunity
to be powerfully ourselves. And even though that's a negative thing in the coding of queerness, I think it's still powerful to be coded as powerful queer people. So there's this dichotomy of what does power mean? Does power as a queer person mean being negative? Yes, it does. For me, growing up in the Caribbean in the 1960s, yes, being a bitch was powerful. Being a queer, powerful bitch and answering people who would attack me as a queer person, and being powerful to say, no, not this time, I can answer you back. And this is part of, you know, the queer culture of shade and empowering yourselves by being able to attack people back when they attack you. So we need to understand that Halloween is Gay Xmas because it allows us power.
Yes, yeah. And so, you know, thinking of younger generations and, you know, how we can take the best out of this holiday, Halloween, and kind of help us reflect in terms of who we are as a community. Because how do we disassociate evil from power? You know, and going beyond Halloween, but, you know, the Disney characters and the kind of perception that in order to be strong, you need to have that element of evil, you know, the shady queen and whatever. Do you think we can get over it? We can get past it?
I think
still be powerful?
I think this is one of the biggest questions that we as a queer community need to understand. Take sex out of the equation. We have imbued so much of queerness into sexuality, and that's not what queerness is all about. We come from thousands of years of knowledge and empowerment. So it's not just about answering back to homophobia and transphobia and all the other phobias that we face. It's about saying to the world, we do stand on our culture. And we have a very powerful culture of thousands of years. Find that culture. Engage with your culture. Find the education of who you are and what you stand by. It's not just about saying, okay, I can throw shade at you. How does shade matter in a world where you don't matter? What is that disconnection? Where does the connection happen where you find yourself? That's where I think we need to look at. Where do you find yourself in Halloween? For me, I find myself in Halloween in the space of, tonight I've carved a pumpkin for the first time in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
is that not a thing in Trinidad and Tobago?
No,
Okay.
no. But tonight I carved a pumpkin, and when the face was revealed to me with the candle inside of the pumpkin, all of a sudden, you know what I found?
What?
Me.
Oh.
And it was the light shining through.
You are a beautiful pumpkin.
We all are beautiful
But that's
pumpkins.
the point, right? And I think that, going back to the concept of Halloween and the power of like moments like that, it does help us recenter on who we are and reflect on the kind of people that we want to be and
the recentering doesn't stop.
Yeah.
We keep thinking that we recenter ourselves through Stonewall. We recenter ourselves through marriage equality. You are constantly recentering yourself. Don't stop. The work doesn't stop when we get one bit of success.
Absolutely. And next Halloween, because I have to be honest, it's, at least in London, you go to Halloween parties, and particularly gay men, like we're talking about queer communities, but particularly gay men, we're not particularly original when it comes to dressing. It's only, it's the horns, it's the cat ears, or maybe the angel wings, and that's it, a jockstrap. So maybe for next year, let's try to be more original and express our personality in different ways. I don't know if putting you on the spot like this, if you've got anything that comes to mind, but have you got a favorite Halloween outfit or dress that either you wore or you've seen on someone else, and you thought this is a true expression of identity, of personality?
You might think that this is planned, but this is so
no,
not
absolutely
planned.
not planned. Totally unscripted.
For me, 2025 Halloween goes to a woman who dressed as Jackie Kennedy in the suit with the blood all over the suit. And it was very controversial. But for me, seeing that moment repeated in 2025 when Jackie Kennedy was on the plane flying back to Washington, D.C., and the swearing in of the vice president into the president's space with her in the same suit, covered in blood, on the plane it's chilling. But I think that's what Halloween, queerness, feminism, all the fights that we fight is imbued in that moment. And the fact that this woman wore that for Halloween this year, I thought was challenging, yes. Awful, yes. But that's the pure...
It had a message.
The pure message of Halloween.
Yeah.
That we live in a world where there is evil and darkness. Yeah. And I thought she did the right thing.
Oh, that's amazing. And, through that darkness, you can find a way forward, and you can find a little bit more of yourself every time. You need to just be willing to explore that darkness.
Well, all I would say is 10 years from now, there will be another woman who is or another man who is dressed as Charlie Kirk and has blood spurting out of his neck. This is how we respond to things that have happened in the zeitgeist. And we as queer people have been on the front lines of making these statements. And we should embrace that we are that powerful voice that says, look at us. Look at what the world means. Look at who you are and look at who we are.
Yeah. It sounds really strange, right? We started from Halloween and, talked about the meaning of Halloween and evil and queer, but also finding our voice and a way to convey a message through Halloween and, other opportunities. Because I think it's true, like being queer often means that you need to take every opportunity to show up and, say something.
Well, let's face some facts. Every major Hollywood horror film has been queer coded. From Nightmare on Elm Street, their lead character was a queer man. All of it, the whole idea of stabbing and blood and hate has been queer coded. It's about the fear of being queer. All of Hollywood films have done that. The horror genre is littered with queer coding. Just Google it. Google queer horror, and you will find that all of these horror movies have been queer coded. And all of the ideas of fear have been inculcated into horror to make you think that the worst thing you could be is queer. So all of the horror genres have been like, this is a queer man, this is an incel, this is somebody who doesn't have access to heteronormative sex. All of it. And we need to understand that this has been a message that has been seeped into our culture, that being queer is a horror. So when we retake the whole idea of Halloween, we're saying, fuck that. You, we're reclaiming it.
Yeah, I love that. And actually, again, totally unscripted, but it is a reclaiming of that narrative and that darkness and saying, and we're
fuck
going to
you.
use it.
We're going to laugh at you. We're going to laugh at us, and we're going to laugh at you.
Absolutely. And also, no queer fear here, right? There's no fear of being queer here. But I think that actually, brings us to the end of the episode already. Can you believe it? But also sets us really well for the next episode where we will talk about Pride, because we know that there's been a lot of stuff going on with Pride in the UK, but globally as well. And this idea of community and what platforms we have and how
it's a lack of community.
Yeah. And hold that thought, because that's for the next episode.
Okay.
We are at time. So we'll see you next time for a conversation about Pride and what it means for our queer community today. In the meantime, if you've got any questions or any thoughts about topics that you'd like us to cover, please send us an email at fast.forward.pride@gmail.com or just add the comments underneath the episode. Thank you again and see you next time.
Happy Halloween!